live streams in exactly the same way of sort of talking into the void and wondering if anyone's there. As ever, I'm going to get the chat up on my computer. Oh, I'm playing my own trailer. If you haven't seen it, Echo's Destiny Part 2 trailer is out. That took so long to edit, and it's had a good reception so far. So thank you to everybody who's been positive towards it. It's gone down surprisingly well on Twitter as well, but is this, fingers crossed, this live stream's even happening? I mean, I can't even see it on my screen, but I can see someone's watching. I can't see who until my computer decides to actually function. That would be absolutely amazing if it did. Maybe we'll just have to wait and see. Oh no, there we go. I think it's coming in. Got an advert on my own thing. Great. I'm forcing myself to. There we go. Live chat. Hello, everyone. Hello, Timothy Radmore. Hello, Revelo. Hello, Panos Driss. Hello, Operation President. Hello, Nigel. Hello, Glowyard. Hello, Dominic Garrity. Hello, Steve G. Hello, George Stevens. Hello, Team D Gang. Hello, Andy App. Hello, Adam Parton. Hello, James Daniel. Hello, James_Skywalker 2020. Hello, Minecrafter. Doctor Who Gaming. Hello, everyone. This live chat doesn't have a specific topic other than the finale. Obviously, we're going to be discussing Doctor Who. We're going to be discussing Mrs. Flood as well, but most of this live chat is just for you guys to send in your theories, and as ever, I'm going to react, read them, and yeah, hello everyone who's just joining us. Lee Taylor, Slander and Lies, can't stay to watch, but have a great stream. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Hi on Mercury. Hello everyone joining. Right, so let me know what you think, right? Because I was wondering today, I haven't had time to make a full video on it, but Mrs. Flood, immediately, after the bi-generation, she immediately seems to become very, like, subservient and loses the sort of presence that she had. Like, if you remember back to Empire of Death, Mrs. Flood was, like, fully, like, the gates of heaven tell your makeup. That she was going, like, proper kind of supervillain vibes, and when she stood on the roof as well, she had like quite a gravitas to her. So why has Mrs. Flood suddenly, after this bi-generation, seemed to drop all of those characteristics? In Doctor Who magazine, Anita Dobson, this interview was from before they shot, and I presume fully read the finale, but Anita Dobson sort of hints that maybe there's something more to Mrs. Flood, and I wouldn't be surprised if, you mean Mavitas, yes, thank you. I wouldn't be surprised if Mrs. Flood turns around and does something evil. Like, oh, what, right, that sounds obvious. You know what I mean. Turns around, maybe betrays the other Rani, something along those lines. There's a lot of directions this could be taken. Hello, greetings from the US. Hello, everyone. Hello, Ranagast Gaming. Who else have we got? Right, I'm sorry, I'm gonna... Dugadoo is still going. Yeah, that's true. How many days has that been? But, like, for those of you who don't know, there's a 24-hour constant non-stop live stream on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel of that Dugadoo song from the Interstellar Song Contest, which is kind of insane, but good for them, I guess. I'm glad they've... 54 hours, apparently, it's been going. Oh, we had a theory here, as ever. Watching Echo's Destiny when the live notification came in. Well, I hope you're enjoying. Anyone who hasn't watched it, go and watch it now. You can start with Echo's End, then Echo's Return, then Echo's Destiny Part 1, Echo's Destiny Part 2. The trailer's out now. Yeah, it's been getting a good reception. Thank you, everyone. Right, where was this theory? If I've missed your theory, as ever, don't spam the chat, but put your theory in again, and as ever, if you super chat it, it'll flash up on the screen so I won't miss it. I'm going to try and catch up with the theories. Dugadoo, thanks, Murray. Lucy Willis says, I've been thinking, if the Rani is a scientist, would she use a chameleon arch? What if she used one to become a Time Lord plus instead of a human? Yeah, this is what I don't get with Mrs. Flood, and I really hope it's not just down to Russell not knowing who the character was when he started writing, but in The Church on Ruby Road, she seems to have this revelation when she watches the TARDIS dematerialise, as if it's unlocked her memories, and as if maybe, like this person has suggested, she's been like sort of like a sleeper agent for a while, and this wakes her up. But then, like, I don't know, that's just not been expanded upon. It never really got explained. I hope that obviously there's still time in the finale. There's still time in the finale, but yeah, we'll have to see. Pete says, remember when someone here said Billy Piper is the 16th Doctor? Well, I said it on a live chat of a certain person, and now everybody's putting out rumour vids about it. Yeah, I got emailed this thing. Look, I'm going to say it because I think it's so fake. If it's not fake, this is hilarious, and I apologise for leaking. But I don't. There's no way it's real. But there's this picture going around of like a Billy Piper 16th Doctor, which is supposedly from the finale, but it's just not real, in my opinion. Like, someone emailed it to me, and I appreciate that. It's not real. Like, it's AI or something. It's just no. It's not happening. Someone says she could betray the Rani like Grimmer Wormtongue betrayed Saruman. Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. I can't remember which one. Yeah, all right. There's got to be a Mrs. Flood betrayal here. I really don't want Anita Dobson's version of the Rani to go to waste. Like, I don't want her to just be the sidekick butler. I mean, well, obviously it's all within the execution. Like, it could go any way, but I don't want her talents to be wasted, basically. Operation President says, Joe, what are your thoughts on the new article about Shooty being fired? Yeah, it's just a load of lies, isn't it? It's the Sun newspaper. I saw it last night and was like, should I cover this? Maybe. I was potentially going to cover it, but then I thought, like, after reading the article, it's so clearly just a load of waffle that, like, do you know what? It almost doesn't even need debunking. I feel like the people that have read the article that want to say, oh yeah, this is true, they're gonna say it's true whether or not I debunk it. Do you know what I mean? But I suppose maybe it's confused a couple of people out there, because a lot of people, understandably, like I do it, just read the headline and don't read the article. But the article, it's just absolute waffle. But the one good thing with all these like fake rumors and fake leaks, right, is it puts us in a position where we genuinely don't know what's coming up in the finale. Like, I don't know. Is Shooty going to regenerate? No idea. Is there going to be a new Doctor? No idea. Will it cut to black? No idea. Have we all been panicking over absolutely nothing? Like, I don't know. But it's nice that Doctor Who's in a position where genuinely no idea what's happening. Like, there's a few whispers of certain things in plot details, but in terms of like big revelations, I don't know. There's a lot of fake stuff going around. What do you think about Susan returning? Do you think it's just the Doctor imagining her, or do you think she's trying to communicate with him? It's got to be a communication. I hope. I say got to be for my own sanity. I really hope it is, because if it's just the Doctor imagining her, why has it taken him this long to imagine Susan in a moment of crisis? Like the Interstellar Song Contest of all episodes, I think Susan has got to tie into the finale somehow. I don't know quite how. Suggest your theories, guys. But yeah, there's got to be something more to this than just Susan popping up. But I am slightly skeptical of that. Maybe they're saving her for a future season. But the fact that like all those Doctor Who Unleashed and like behind the scenes shows have had like this such a lovely interview with Caroline Ford and Varada Sethu, where like they're talking about being companions and everything, and it makes me wonder, like, have they released all those interviews now? Because that's it. That's all we're getting of Susan in the Interstellar Song Contest. That's all we saw of her. That's all we ever will see of her. I certainly hope not. But yeah, Philip Archer there says, I think Susan was just an audience lure. Hopefully not. She's got to tie into the plot somehow. I'm not 100% though. This is what I mean though. This era is so unpredictable. Anything can happen. Like, they turned Sutek into a dog. Mrs. Flood was then the most obvious reveal of all time. It's like, you never know where you stand with it. Like, anything can happen. Um, my only issue with Shooty's Doctor is his tash. The Doctor doesn't do facial hair, that's more of a master thing. I think it suits 15. And I think each Doctor should be very like individual and different. And I think, yeah, it makes 15's incarnation like his own thing, along with the fashion sense. Although I do wish they'd kept a more consistent costume for Shooty. I kind of like it, and like I've seen people say it's reflective, like him changing costumes each week, at least in season one, was kind of reflective of how the narrative would take massive tonal swings, and like that's kind of cool. But maybe that's like GCSE English analysation rather than it actually being the case. Sorry, guys. I'll try and keep up with chats as ever. If I haven't read out your chat, please feel free to comment it again. Don't spam the chat. If you super chat it, it'll 100% come up. It'll flash on the screen. I'll see it. No pressure though. Peter Cushing rocked a tash. That's true. That's true. Have you seen the new Doctor Who Barbie dolls? I have. I can't lie. I don't think the Shooty Gatwa one really looks like Shooty Gatwa. Like it's not bad, and I don't, like I'm not going to sit here and go like, oh, Barbie's rubbish. But I don't know. And they were also like, how much are they supposed to be? Someone in the chat tell me. I swear I read someone on Twitter was like £70 for one of them, which I think is kind of insane. But like, I mean, the economy's in tatters. Like, yeah, $7.99. Oh no, 70. I was gonna say $7.99. I could see like kids will buy that. That's good. But £70, one step too far. One step too far. 'Cause, like, how do you expect kids? I think it's also. This is one of the things which I don't think it's a problem with character options or Doctor Who, but just the Doctor Who franchise. I think why it's lacking a little bit than it used to. I basically got into Doctor Who through action figures, like as a kid. I bought the action figures before I'd actually seen the show, or at least like I was gifted them for Christmas and stuff. Like that kind of intrigued me, and I was like, oh, these are cool. Let's watch the show. And look at me now. Like kids don't have that route in if they're having to pay like over 70 quid for Doctor Who merchandise. But the economy's doomed, the toy market's doomed, kids nowadays only watch TikTok. I feel like an old man. I'm not an old man, I promise. But yeah, they just, Doctor Who is dead in it. No, no, it's not. I do actually think this era has managed to capture like a younger audience. That's one of the big things they keep saying. Like, although the audience figures on the surface are bad, it's really appealing with like our generation and younger, which is exactly what the BBC needs out of Doctor Who. So in terms of cancellation, I don't actually think it's going anywhere, because I don't think, while the series may not be the biggest success of all time, I don't think it's not doomed as people say. I was thinking Conrad could be Eric the Space Baby. I've never heard anyone say that before, but why not? Shout out to Conrad. Conrad the Space Baby. Space Baby Eric is Conrad, confirmed. I'll have 3 videos out by the morning. Do you think 15 is going to regenerate? If so, who do you think would be a good fit for the next Doctor? I don't know whether 15 is going to regenerate. I think it's certainly a possibility. As I say, it's quite an exciting possibility, because anything can happen. Like, anything can happen. But who would be a good Doctor? I've always said Dev Patel. I think he's probably too famous now. Like, he's yeah, too big for Doctor Who. But Dev Patel would probably be my ideal Doctor if I could pick anyone. Like, I just think he'd encapsulate such a doctory vibe while also being and feeling very new. Like, Dev Patel would be a good choice. Right, what else have we got here? What do you think about Poppy possibly playing a part in Susan being the Doctor's granddaughter? Yeah, there's definitely something going on. I mean, Space Babies and An Unearthly Child are practically the same phrase, just reworded. So, you know, like, I don't think that's a coincidence. We have a super chat here. Let me just scroll to that. As ever, guys, really sorry if I've missed your chats. Please feel free to super chat them or just comment them again. Doctor Who's Magical something. The name, Magical Entertainment, I think, my chat's playing up, but I think it's thank you very much, Doctor Who Magical Entertainment, for the super chat. They say I would love Chris Marshall as the Doctor because it would tie in with 10 and 11 wanting to be Ginger in the Christmas invasion and the end of time. Yeah, I think the last Doctor that we ever get should be a Ginger. That should be the final regeneration. As for Chris Marshall, his name always gets thrown around. I've never actually seen Death in Paradise. Like, that's where I know him from. I haven't seen it, but I've seen people recommend him. I have seen him in, what's the Christmas film? Love Actually. He's good in Love Actually, but that's also him like 20 years ago. So I don't know how that would tie in. But yeah, maybe I'd tie in as in like what? That's one of his chameleon arched faces. Tie it all in. No, I don't know. Yeah, sure. Why not? We do need a Ginger Doctor at one point though. That's it's got to happen. It's got to happen. As ever, guys, apologies if I've missed your thing. I'm gonna go to the bottom of the chat to try and catch up. What if Omega and the Trickster both appear, says Matthew, and it's the Master, Rani, Omega in the Trinity fighting the Trickster leading the Pantheon? I hadn't even considered that there could be like infighting amongst the villains. That could be quite cool. If you've got like the Pantheon versus science, which would be the Rani, like that. Maybe that's where we're headed. In terms of Omega, I've made my thoughts abundantly clear. That man needs to return to Doctor Who. And if he does in this finale, because I do think there's a chance. I don't think it's impossible. I think it's genuinely, there's a possibility. If he does, I've got a video which I was working on like March time, and then I held off, got delayed, but it's almost finished. If Omega is returning, I'll have a whole history of Omega video ready to put out within the next couple of days, which that'll be genius timing for the algorithm and for myself. So fingers crossed Omega comes back. Also fingers crossed because I've been waiting. I'm the one who waits. How long have we waited for Omega? DW2012 in chat. Hello DW2012. I presume it's Luke. Luke's the man behind the mask here. DW2012 says, coming out of last week's episode, the Rani and Susan is the main afterthought, but the TARDIS literally blew up. Did the TARDIS blowing up cause the Earth's destruction, or vice versa? It is a really good point. I feel like everybody, including myself, just forgets that last episode, because I think the Rani reveal happens and everyone's like, oh, well, that's where our mind's at. The TARDIS literally blew up. Like, the doors boom. I don't think we've ever properly seen that happen in Doctor Who, have we? Someone correct me in the comments, but like a proper boom. I reckon though this new episode it'll do the typical Doctor Who thing of we won't find out what happened immediately after that. The Doctor and Belinda will just wake up in this sort of fantasy wish world that belongs to Conrad. Obviously, we've seen all the promo images of like the Doctor and Belinda basically being married, having a child, Poppy the space baby. So I think that's where we'll start the episode. Maybe there'll be a passing comment about the explosion of the TARDIS, but yeah, I think it was probably just Russell bombastic. Let's go, finale time. Like, you know, in Turn Left at the end when the TARDIS goes red and it's like, oh, it's the end of the universe, and then we just sort of pick up calm TARDIS. The TARDIS isn't red anymore. I think, and Bad Wolf was written everywhere as well. It will be similar to that, I think. We'll just pick up. We do have a super chat here though from Andy App. Thank you very much, Andy App, for the super chat. Andy says, have you seen the What to Expect teaser for Wish World? I'm intrigued about this big secret revolving around Belinda. Yes, I have. Like the little short clip things they put on social media where we fully see the Doctor and Belinda as a married couple. I'm really intrigued about this episode, I can't lie. And it makes me wonder, because we're getting little clips of it here and there. There was no Next Time trailer. Have we actually seen anything from the final episode, like the reality war? Have we seen any clips or photos of that? I don't think we have. Hello, Jeremy Duncan, just passing through. Hello, Jeremy. But yeah, I don't think we actually have seen anything from the finale, like the proper finale, the reality war, which makes me wonder, like, where's it going? Like, we know the rough setup for this tomorrow's episode is Ruby like goes to try and wake the Doctor up from this Wish World Conrad thing. She's like, come with me, and then eventually he's going to go with her, probably, or he'll realise on his own, or he's been double agenting, double bluffing. We'll see where it all goes, but the finale's the bit I don't know. I don't know where it's going, and I'm just intrigued. I'm excited. I want to know. Thank you very much, Peter Watts, for the super chats. Really appreciate it, Peter. Peter hasn't said anything. I appreciate the support. If you've got a question or comment, Peter, feel free to comment it below, and I'll make sure I get to reading that. HMVA says, hi Joe, you decided on a podcast name yet? Also, it's my friend's birthday. Can you say happy birthday, Mike Rochistici? Oh, for goodness sake. I just said it, didn't I? I just said it. Well, I hope Mike has a really good birthday. Oh dear. Where are we? It will all end in a giant flash of white light. The chat's jumped again. In a giant flash of white light as the Doctor sacrifices himself, dust settling and revealing everything back to normal, with the final shot being of a restored Gallifrey. How controversial would it be to bring back Gallifrey? Because you've had it destroyed, you've had it brought back, you've had it destroyed, you've had it brought back. How many times can you do that? I don't know. I don't know. I would be... Oh, I don't know though. I think what they need to do is have new Gallifrey. Like, I've been saying this for years. You know how, like, in Thor, which Thor film is it? Ragnarok? Thor Ragnarok. They have, like, Asgard gets destroyed, and they're like, okay, let's build somewhere else. They need to do that. The Citadel of Gallifrey, Gallifrey the planet, it's been wiped out. Do a new Time Lord civilization. We have a super chat here. Thank you very much. I'm trying to find it again. There we go. From Bane Hasty. Thank you very much, Bane. They say, hear me out. Tom Cruise is the next Doctor. Jumped out of the TARDIS mid-flight, then does a backflip onto the Rani. You know what? I think you're onto something there. He's got to be. What else could happen? Imagine the Mission Impossible Doctor Who crossover. Has anyone seen the new Mission Impossible film? I'm hearing bad things. Is it any good? Should I watch it, chat? Let me know. If she's a Rani, could there be even more? Speaking of multiple Ranis, it came up in my recommended earlier. You know Stu Bagfall, the Doctor Who YouTuber. He's like brilliant, probably my favourite Doctor Who YouTuber out there. But he released a video about 6 years ago, taking the mick out of the Doctor Who bringing the Rani back, and he does this bit where he's like, oh, they're not just going to bring back one Rani, they're going to bring back multiple Ranis, and like he's taking the mick out of it. But lo and behold, here we are about 6, 7, 8 years later, and they've brought back multiple Ranis in one go, which I just thought was really, really funny prediction. Because it's completely happened, hasn't it? Trying to keep up to date with the chat. Sorry, everyone. Paul says, I believe the finale is going to tie things up as far back as the 60th Children in Need skit. Perhaps. I don't know whether the skit will be included, but I think it's definitely, it seems like a culmination of the Disney Plus era, like all of those things being tied into one. So I think it'll definitely have a lot of ties, but I don't know if the Daleks and stuff will be included. I mean, it's not impossible, and this is the thing, right? If it is Ncuti's final episode, Ncuti has made it very clear in interview after interview after interview, he wants to face the Dalek. Russell, I think he'd make it happen. But then I don't know where it would fit. Maybe there's not time. I'll have to wait and see. But it's not impossible that a Dalek might crop up. I think it's just unlikely. We do have another super chat here, though. Thank you very much, Shadow Jedi Knight. Yeah, really appreciate it, Shadow Jedi Knight. Thank you. Shadow Jedi Knight says... Jedi Knight. Yeah, no, I said that right. I'm going to say I'm hyped for this episode coming up, and off topic, I really enjoy your Doctor Who fan film, Doctor Who Echo, and I'm wondering, can I have your permission to analyse the trailer? Yeah, you have my full permission. analyze away. Does that mean you make a video? If you want to make a video on it, I'd really appreciate that. I'd 100% check it out. Anyone who does that, like there's been a couple of people over the years who've made little reviews or reactions to our Echoes Destiny stuff, and I will always find the time to watch it because I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, if you want to do any analysing or just analyse it in a comment, it's up to you. Go for it. Go for it. Or ask any questions, feel free. I spend so much of my life sat at this very desk editing those films, so I will probably never get bored of talking about them. For anyone who hasn't seen the trailer, please go and check it out. But yeah, thank you, Shadow Jedi Knight, for the super chat. Spring Season Motion Pictures says maybe Lulabelle ties in. There was something that felt like it wasn't a one-off. That was something that felt like it wasn't a one-off story. The mirroring between her and the Doctor seemed deeper. Perhaps. I mean, we've seen the Rani holding a baby in a mysterious cloak. So, yeah, who knows? How do the space babies, how do space toddlers, how does everything tie in? I have no idea, but I'm excited to see. We've got 2 new super chats. Thank you very much, Streams, for the super chat. Streams says, Omega blowing up the TARDIS or time vortex would make sense, so time travel does not stop his return because he created the Eye of Harmony. Yeah, that's a very good point, actually. I mean, if anyone's blown up the TARDIS or has the power to blow up the TARDIS, it would be Omega. And if you want to hear more about Omega, his experiments in creating the Eye of Harmony, etc., stay tuned on this channel. Big video. I think it's probably going to be about half an hour long, the whole history of Omega, coming very soon. I've had good fun editing it. I was going to explain one of the jokes I put in there, but it doesn't really make sense out of context. For anyone who knows the lore of Omega, there's this talking cat involved within his story, and the talking cat becomes a recurring character in this video. But you'll see. It's good fun. Thank you very much to Leah D for the £2 super chat. Really appreciate it, Leah D. Leah says, I hope we will see the Daleks. Yeah, you know what? As we've briefly touched on Daleks in the stream, but I'd be happy. I'm never going to go, oh no, Daleks are here. The one thing I do hope, if we are getting Daleks, is a new design. Like, I want them to look different. I don't want them to look like the Paradigm Daleks redesign, Teletubby Daleks. But yeah, I've missed the Daleks. You know what? Bring them back. But I'm so 50-50. As cool as it would be, how cool would it be in a couple of years down the line? Like if we have to wait and they finally come back with a new design, and also with this new era, you've got the theme of gods, pantheon, etc. I think you could do something really cool with upgrading the Daleks. Maybe making them sort of god-like Daleks. Something different, something new, something fresh. I don't know, we'll have to wait and see. Exciting stuff. I think we've got a new super chat somewhere, but as ever, it's the common theme of this, the chat is running away with us. Shadow Jedi Knight, thank you very much for another super chat. Shadow Jedi Knight says, to be honest, I really like this much secrecy of the next episode because they don't show a next time trailer, so maybe they're hiding something. Yeah. 100%. Like, as weird as it was to not have a next time trailer, it was also quite refreshing, and I also kind of wish they hadn't released as many pictures or the little, like, coming up in this week's episode, little preview bits. It's so fun to kind of just go in not knowing what's gonna happen. So I hope that they do that for the other finale. Like, I hope we're left on a banger of a cliffhanger, and there's a really short next time trailer, nothing too spoilery. Like, I'd be here for that. I don't want it to be, do you know what I mean? I don't want it to give too much away. We've waited so long for this season. Yeah, we've got to wait. We've got to wait and see. DW2012, Luke says, only thing with Omega is that he isn't actually a god. Man's just a Time Lord with no bod. So, is it a Sutek case where he isn't part of the Pantheon but has become a god? Yeah, I reckon if Omega is coming back, there's that line in The Three Doctors where he yells, he's like, I should have been a god! And I reckon that Russell's read that and gone, right, we'll make him a god. When myth and all this stuff was let into the universe, I reckon Omega's will was like, allowed him into this thing. And maybe Sutek left a hole in the market, right? Sutek's died, he was the god of all gods. Who do they bring in? Like, they've been sending, Omega's sent in his job application. He was like, yeah, I would love to be head of the gods. I've got experience building Gallifrey. He sent in his application, and maybe the gods were like, okay, cool, we'll get you in. We have another super chat here. Thank you very much to Jasmine Gage for the super chat. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jasmine. Jasmine says, what do you think about the possibility of Shooty being the Valyard after how he acted in the last episode? Could be possible after the bi-generation. Yeah, 100%. I'd kind of love to see it. Like, I've wanted to see the Valyard in Doctor Who for a very long time, and I've always thought, I mean, it's why I ended up writing the Doctor Who Echo series in the way I did. If you've got the Valyard, who faces off against the Valyard? A good version of the Doctor. Like, I want to see our current Doctor go in a, like, darker direction, but a past or future incarnation who is good is fighting against him. That sort of thing would be so cool. I mean, you could even have two Shooty Gatwas, two 15th Doctors. They did it in Joy to the World. Have one version Valyard, one version good. If anyone was going to turn into the Valyard, I'd kind of guess the 14th Doctor, like David Tennant, because he's still kicking, and the therapy thing. But who knows? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. It would be intriguing, though. We've got a bunch of super chats. Sorry, guys, I am going to catch up with you all. Leah D, thank you very much for another super chat, Leah. Leah says, I'm still confused by Susan, the granddaughter. It was so random. Yeah, it was really random. Like, it's got to be leading somewhere. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys, let me know in chat if you do, watch, what are they called? The Americans who watch Doctor Who. Blind Wave. Them. I always watch their episode reviews. I love their episode things. But they were just so stumped by it. And I do think it's a bit of a problem with this season, especially moments like that or the Rani reveal. Normal people who aren't major Doctor Who fans, like casual audiences, right? They just don't understand what's happening. Susan shows up and they're like, oh, who's that? In a way, though, I suppose it works because you just say granddaughter, I'm the Doctor's granddaughter. The audience goes, oh, it's the Doctor's granddaughter. But yeah, I do agree, Leah. It was a little bit random. And I really hope that's not it. If that's it, that's incredibly random and a bit silly in my opinion. But I reckon there's got to be more to it. Susan's probably going to be justified in the finale. We have a super chat here from, oh right, I'm going to try and read Likeability New. Is that how you pronounce that? Probably. Likeability New, thank you very much for the super chat. Likeability says, Belinda regenerates to Fugitive Doctor, or is actually Susan. Ruby regenerates into Belinda, and they are all the Dr. Poppy name for grandfather. Right, so Belinda regenerates to the Fugitive Doctor, or is actually Susan. That's wild. I've not heard that suggested, but look, I could see Belinda regenerating. There's all these little hints about her, like she knows what a TARDIS is before the Doctor says the words TARDIS to her. Obviously, it could have been said off screen, but usually that's something Doctor Who would cover. So there's a couple of things that maybe Belinda could regenerate. In terms of bringing back the Fugitive Doctor, yeah, I could see it happening in the finale. It's a similar case to Susan, where I hope that Jo Martin wasn't just included for like the wow factor kind of thing. Like, I really want her to have time to shine on screen. I don't want her to be the cameo Doctor. Like, I want her to crop up more. So hopefully that all gets paid off. And they are the Dr. Poppy. Yeah, Poppy. There's Poppy is in Poppy, like grandfather Poppy. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, I could see it. It feels, yeah. I like it. Shadow Jedi Knight, thank you very much for another super chat. Shadow Jedi Knight says, I hope they show the Rani's TARDIS in the episode. Yeah, I hope they do, and I hope it looks like it did in Mark of the Rani, because that is one of the coolest TARDIS designs the show has ever seen. Like, it's infinitely better than the classic Who TARDIS. Maybe that's controversial, I don't know, the general consensus, but the Rani's TARDIS looked so cool. So, hopefully, we do see the inside of the Rani's TARDIS. I have a sneaking suspicion that the big bone ship in the sky is actually going to be the Rani's TARDIS, or her ship, however she's getting around these days. But yeah, I reckon we'll see it. Thank you very much, Andy App, for the super chat. Andy App says, Omega himself once said, I should have been a god. Yeah, He did. It's got to tie in. It's got to tie in. See, this is the thing. I think the two, like, if they're all running a race, the Trickster and Omega are currently in joint place running for the finish line. We don't know who's going to make it to the finish line. It could be the Trickster, it could be Omega. Both of them have incredibly high stakes in this. Both of them could be in the runnings for a winner tomorrow, but we'll just have to wait and find out. Who would you guys... I might release a poll seeing what people want out of this. Like, Trickster or Omega? Where are people sat if you could choose one of them? Because I suppose Omega appeals more to classic fans. Within the Trickster, I don't know. It would be cool to see the Trickster. I always find it mad the Trickster's never actually been in Doctor Who. But we have more Super Chats to catch up with. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate all the support. Shadow Jedi Knight says, I understand people who don't know about the Rani because Doctor Who forced the Master and the Doctor story. I understand people who don't know about the Rani because Doctor Who forced the Master on the Doctor storyline. Yeah, I think this is the thing. There's a really interesting quote from Stephen Moffat where he's everyone keeps bringing it up now that the Rani's back, where he's like, nobody knows who the Rani is. That's why I never brought her back. And I get what he's saying, and I think in this case it is true because she kind of, to a general audience, is just like a female version of the Master, of which we have Missy. So it's kind of like, I don't know, she needs to forge her own place. And I think the sticking to the scientist route is where we need to go. And especially tying her in with Tecteun, that's where this iteration of the Rani needs to be for her to make a difference and to be like her own thing. So yeah, that may not have actually answered the question specifically, but yeah, I mean, the Master's got to get a mention as well. And I think that the golden tooth thing is almost too coincidental not to have been the Rani's hand. Like, she's got the red nail polish. She picked up the Master in the 60th. Leah D, thank you very much for the super chat. Leah D says, maybe Susan is the third of the unholy trinity. Maybe. That'll be a wild plot twist. If she's tired of waiting, she's the one who waits, right? The Doctor said, one day I'll come back. He never came back. Susan's absolutely fuming. She's the one who waits. She's going to scrap him. It would be a funny suggestion from Leah D. Next super chat. The chat. We're back. Right. BC, thank you very much for the super chat, BC. BC says, I hate the Pantheon. Aliens, psychic entities, beings from, I can't read, apologies, being from outside time and space. Here's your membership, wordplay, Harbinger, and your ringtone laugh. It cheapens every member. Cartoon supervillain team. I get what you mean. I can't lie. I know where you're coming from, BC. I don't hate them though. I think it's such a solid idea. I just think the logistics of it, as you kind of pointed out there, sometimes are a bit silly. Why do they all adhere to the giggle? Why are they all even in a pantheon? It's this thing, like, I always talk about it, but what does it mean to be the god of all gods? Do they have board meetings? Do they have company retreats? Is it a company? Do they have a big skyscraper? Like, do they have their equivalent to Unit HQ? Like, how does all of this work? I don't know. And I see the comparisons between this and a supervillain team. It's something you can kind of see in the Batman animated series. Like, I get what you mean. Right, chat, I will catch up now. I think that's all the super chats. Thank you, everybody who super chatted. Right. The Ash says the Decayed Master was active 160 years in the future and became a being of entropy. He was also a dark god in the Eye of Harmony. Perhaps, I'm presuming that's more expanded media stuff. You're probably more versed in that than I am. I don't delve into too much expanded media stuff, mainly because I don't have time. I'd love to. Like Big Finish, the Big Finish that I've heard, they are really good. I just don't have the time or money to like keep up with it all. But hopefully, eventually, we'll get there. We'll get more into the expanded media stuff. Martin says Rogue, he who waits. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Jonathan Groff's coming back, especially if Ncuti is potentially leaving the show. I think we've probably seen the last of Rogue, which is a bit of a shame. But, you know, you win some, you lose some. Because I do think he could have been a really good character, like to keep cropping up, almost like a modern Jack Harkness type. but without John Barrowman's on-set antics. Hopefully that's not what Jonathan Groff's doing. We've got a super chat here. Thank you very much. Thank you, Shadow Jedi Knight, for another super chat. They say, I hope they don't defeat the Rani, or if Omega, the most dumb way, like how they defeated Sutek in the last series. I'd be so disappointed. Yeah, this is the thing. If they are bringing back Omega, I'm going to use my will like Omega uses his will. I am willing that they don't just finish him off after the finale. Finish off the Ranis. Have them deal with the Rani in a good, satisfying way, but keep Omega as an almost Thanos-level threat that expands over multiple seasons, and maybe the next Doctor's tenure, or till the end of Ncuti's tenure. Whichever way it goes, keep him on. Omega is such a good villain. He's such a big return. You don't want to do a Sutek with him. How many years did people wait for Sutek only for him to be put on a leash and sort of defeated? It's a triumphant defeat. I'll give you that. The music's popping off, but it just feels underwhelming. So I really hope, if they are bringing back Omega, maybe he briefly gets out of the antimatter universe, but then he gets trapped in there at the end, and he will one day wreak his revenge. Something like that. I just don't want them to be like, okay, we've done Omega, that's the end. Do you know what I mean? I think you need to build him up. He's an Avengers level threat for Doctor Who. Joe, what do you think of giant Dalek rumbling in? What do you think? What do I think if a giant Dalek rumbled in the episode? It'd be wild, it'd be crazy. Imagine, giant Dalek. How giant are we talking? Huge Dalek. So, what about the surname of Foreman? Was that ever explained? I think it's the name of the junkyard, isn't it? I'm doubting my... Hang on. Susan Foreman, Y, name. Let's see what Google comes up with. Naming herself after Foreman's yard where the TARDIS was parked. Yeah, because isn't the first shot the gates of I Am Foreman? I'm really doubting myself now, but I think that's correct. Wizard of Oz says TARDIS has been torn apart before and slowly put itself together afterwards. Yeah, that is true. I think most recently in Flux it sort of repaired itself during what was the special? The Dalek one. What's it called? Eve of the Daleks, that's it. Thank you very much, Tom, for the £5 super chat. Very much appreciated. Tom says, if Ncuti regenerates, is this the first time it's happened without an official announcement, like other actors in Modern Who have had? I think, apart from... Was William Hartnell's announced? I don't think it was. Apart from the very first regeneration ever, I reckon it would be. It would be our first... I don't think there's whisperings of it, so it's not a complete surprise. But it would be the first time a Doctor has regenerated without an official announcement, which I'm pretty sure Russell T Davies has said he's wanted to do. Like, I think that's what he wanted to happen with the 9th Doctor, but he obviously never got the chance to do it. But yeah, it would be cool. It would be cool to see. Thank you very much, Rose, for the $4.99 super chat. Really appreciate it. Rose says, I think we shall ascend that Rassilon mentioned in the End of Time has a lot more to do with division and the Pantheon than we know yet. I agree. You know what? We almost discounted Rassilon. We haven't talked about him on this live stream, but he's definitely a contender. He's also in that running race with Omega and the Trickster for the third member of the Unholy Trinity. What if they're going to tie in, because it was written by Russell, Rassilon's idea of, he says in the End of Time, doesn't he? He's like, we will become creatures of consciousness alone. What if that's sort of like ascending into godhood, ascending into the Pantheon? So they're going to make Time Lords like the god of time or something in this Pantheon where they don't have a physical form. They don't need a physical form. They're above that. They control time. They can move time around, that sort of thing. That'd be quite cool to see. It's a nice suggestion there from Rose. Dan BYT official says, as long as they don't turn Omega into a giant cat. Yeah, I know. Imagine the scrap between Sutek the dog and Omega the cat. What a show that would be. Philip Archer says Hartnell was announced as leaving. Okay, in that case, then yeah, this would be the first ever completely unannounced regeneration, apart from leaks or speculation, vice versa. Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Joe, what do you think of Susan Foreman as a human TARDIS? Um, I don't know. Maybe. I think it's probably unlikely. She came up with the initials TARDIS, or at least she says she did, which has been contradicted. This is the thing with Doctor Who lore. It contradicts itself all the time. Like, there's no canon to the show. And I think if you want a canon explanation for why there's no canon, it's because of time travel. Because there's so many timelines happening at so many different points. There's not one set moment or place in time. Dark Arkham official 77 says, "What would you do as Doctor Who showrunner?" Do I have the video for you? I think I have a video called "What I Would Do If I Was Doctor Who showrunner," but it's really funny, that video, looking back in retrospect, because I made it in lockdown. So that would have been 2020 or 2021. I made the video "What I'd Do If I Was Showrunner," and I literally say in the video, you can go back and watch it. I say I would make it like 10 or 8 episodes. I'd sell part of the rights to a streamer. Like, I literally name drop Disney Plus. I also even include, like, it's not "There's Always a Twist." I say "Let's Twist Again," like we did last summer, should be played in, I think, episode 1 of my series. And like, all of it kind of happened. I reckon Russell was bored in lockdown. He scrolled. He saw my video and was like, "Yeah, I'll have that." That's 100% what happened. It's not, but it would be nice to live in a delusion where I believe that. We have a super chat here from Anthony Fisher. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, Anthony. Anthony says, "What if all these wild next Doctor casting rumours are actually the next Susan?" Yeah, they could be completely throwing it off. If Susan does regenerate, maybe at the end of these episodes, it could be a big misdirect. And maybe they've told all the cast and crew that the regeneration they filmed is a regeneration for the Doctor, when in actuality, it's a regeneration for Susan. I like that theory. I haven't heard it or discussed it before, but I like it. It's a solid one. Another super chat. Sorry, the chat's running around again. Tarot with Gord, thank you very much for the super chat. Tarot with Gord says, "It's obvious that the third member of the Unholy Trinity is Ursula Blake. It's got to be. Paving Slab Woman returns. Everybody's favourite character, Ursula, the Paving Slab from Love and Monsters. What would she be the god of?" Something springs to mind immediately after Elton's comments, but we'll quickly move on from that. But thank you, Tarot with Gord, for the super chat. Gigamat, thank you very much, Gigamat, for the super chat. Gigamat says, "I think we need an explanation of the time agency." Yeah, you know what? It's been long enough. We need Rogue back. Rogue needs to give us the rundown. What is the time agency? I think it's kind of touched upon in Torchwood, but not really. Like, it's only vaguely hinted at. I want to know who set it up, why and when, etc. Have the Doctor go there. It'd be cool to see that explored in a story. Yeah, it's a nice suggestion. I like it. Thank you very much, Shadow Jedi Knight, for another super chat. Very, very generous of yourself. Shadow Jedi Knight says, "What if fake reality was created by the TARDIS? Maybe the TARDIS equals the Scarlet Witch." Yeah, so I mean, it is WandaVision vibes, isn't it? Like, especially, I said this in a video the other day, but the fact that Russell decided, I think it was during lockdown, he said, is when he decided he's going to come back to Doctor Who. It's no coincidence that this big finale he's been building up to writing is incredibly similar, idea-wise, to WandaVision. Like, this idea of people forced without knowing to live in this happy fantasy life. It's pretty cool. But yeah, maybe, I mean, the TARDIS creating the fake reality, maybe it creates a fake reality to protect the Doctor and Belinda. Like, after it was blown up, it just sort of shoves them into a timeline, and that's the timeline they're stuck in, something along those lines. That could be quite cool to see. Thank you very much, Leah D, for another super chat. That's incredibly generous. Thank you very much, Leah. Leah says, "I think Susan has already regenerated into a male. He waits no more," Maestro said. Yeah, I mean, that would certainly be a big plot twist if maybe Susan is the horse from A Town Called Mercy. They're called Susan. You know, that's the next Susan regeneration. Or you know what? That could literally be. It's just come back to me. Someone suggested it ages ago. That horse could be a Susan Triad puppet. You know how there's a Susan Triad everywhere. In A Town Called Mercy, the horse the Doctor meets. That's our Susan Triad incarnation. But yeah, Susan regenerating. I don't fully know because I think I didn't actually know this until the other day, but some Doctor Who fan, there's enough of you in here, someone tell me Susan is not actually a Time Lord, is she? I don't. Apparently, she can't regenerate, but also I think because she's the Doctor's granddaughter, and that's not how regeneration sort of works anymore because of the Timeless Child. Like she could regenerate. I'd be here to see Susan regenerate. You know, I'm here for it. I hope it happens. But also, I just said that confidently. Carol Ann Ford is iconic. Maybe the role should stay as hers. As long as it's with Carol Ann Ford's blessing, I'm happy for a new Susan. That's that's my take on the matter. Thank you very much, Colt Philly. Colt Philly. Thank you very much for the super chat. Either way, Colt Phil says, in the second Doctor story, The Mind Robber, the TARDIS exploded in a very similar way. This could tie in with the whole Wish World thing. Yeah, actually, that's an incredibly good point. Like the Mind Robber, I'm pretty sure. I think I've watched it years ago. Like it's got those robots that kind of look like the Cybermen in, I think, like with the handles, but they're not Cybermen. But yeah, the idea of the Mind Robber, I think there's this like other what's classic fans, please correct me if I'm waffling. But it's like false realities, false almost